So, Justin, welcome to This Mobile Life.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, firstly, Happy New Year.
Yeah, absolutely. You too.
Is it still okay to say Happy New Year? Like it's like 6 7 days in now. Are you still saying
I
it?
think so. I do actually. I still sign it to my email. Like I usually say like cheers
Yeah,
or
yeah.
thanks, and I find myself being like Happy New Year, and then I'm asking myself the same thing. Was like, is it too late to do that?
I think it's okay for like maybe another week or so,
Like
and
two
then
weeks.
yeah,
We'll stamp it here. It's 2 weeks. That's all you get.
it's official. It's funny. Like today, we just took down our Christmas tree. We had it with all the like bells on and tinsel, and we thought, all right, it's
Yeah,
time
yeah.
time to pack it up. But we still got our Christmas lights on. Like I think it's still okay to have those. Like we have this kind of like neighborhood kind of competition. Like everyone's got it out still. So
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah. It's not really competition, but it's like kind of like keeping up with the Joneses because other people have them,
Sure.
and then my dad's like, all right, we gotta have them out as well every year. So
Have you ever seen that movie, Christmas with the Cranks?
I haven't.
It's like Tim Allen and Dan Aykroyd, and it's about the same type of thing, like keeping up with the Joneses.
Okay, okay. We do have like Christmas lights wars over here in Sydney.
That's awesome.
um, so why don't we find out a little bit about you? Like I know we connected through Brennan Dunn's Double Your Freelancing forum, but why don't you give me like the 1 minute overview about you and your background?
Yeah, so the 1 minute overview. I came from working with national advertising agencies, digital advertising agencies, on marketing projects that are primarily for the entertainment industry. So I did a lot of blockbuster films and a lot of work, design and development work for AAA games. And so what I'm doing now is I'm kind of taking all of that expertise and focusing it into 100% into Monastery, where I'm helping mobile game developers basically keep from getting buried in app stores. That's kind of the line that I'm using. And the specialization for that is I've kind of become known for like the person to go to for building an audience of kind of high quality players.
Oh, cool. And you're hailing from is it Lancaster, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're our first international guest. We've got a few
Oh,
more lined
excellent.
up. So, well, yeah, for the podcast and for the year as well.
Yeah, nice. Good.
Um, and so I know that when you worked at the agency and also through your work at Monastery, you've worked on some of the world's biggest game and also movie brands. I was looking to tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
I left a lot out because I just try to be honest about that. It's not that amazing. I mean, I guess to some people it is relatively successful. Like, I had a hand in helping out with the production of the official website for Marvel's The Avengers.
Yeah.
A lot of blockbuster films. Let me think. Snow White and the Huntsman, Battleship, some Mission Impossible stuff. There's a lot. I can't really remember them all, but it's different aspects. Typically, it's with the official websites for those efforts, and then any like social activity campaigns. Um, and then as far as AAA games are concerned, I've done a lot with Call of Duty, a lot with Tony Hawk. I did some work with Skylanders before it was known as Skylanders. It was like a Spyro the Dragon sequel, and then it formed into this big thing that it is now, which that was kind of cool to see that take off. But yeah, I've done a lot of really cool brand stuff, hanging on the coattails of agencies, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, agencies are good because you get to see a variety of work and they have like sometimes like really good clients that you can work with as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a pleasure to cut my teeth there, and I still love that agency world, and I definitely am so thankful for everything that I did there. So yeah, so now I'm trying to take all of that expertise and just kind of help mobile game developers in turbulent waters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And something you mentioned as well, like is AAA games. So for our listeners, what are like AAA games compared to say like indie games? What's the
Yeah, so
difference?
AAA games have been classically like big box store console games. So, like if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Wii, anything that you would buy in the store are considered AAA games. Just giant production games. So think like Tomb Raiders and your Call of Duties, your Madden, stuff like that. And then as far as independent games are concerned, that's where the game studio is kind of taking on all the responsibilities themselves, and it's bootstrapped. It's very from the ground up. Sometimes they're funded, Most of the time, they're not.
Hmm. And is the difference in the funding and the scale between AAA?
Yes, absolutely. Like there's tons and tons of teams working on AAA games. It could take years, and tens of people to make those efforts come to life. Dozens of people to make those efforts.
Yeah.
And then as far as indie game development, even if we're talking about the Xbox marketplace, or we're talking about mobile games, these are typically very small teams, small to mid-sized teams.
Yeah.
Anything AAA would be very large size.
Okay. And then kind of the clients you work with and in your local area, are they more like AAA games or indie games or a mix?
Yeah, I don't work with anyone in my local area.
Hmm.
Lancaster is not really known for that. All of my clients in the agency world would have been mainly on the West Coast in
Hmm.
California, or a hop, skip, and a jump from me in New York City.
Yeah.
It's about 2.5 hours away from me.
Yeah. We've actually,
Um,
yeah, sorry, go.
no, you go.
I was gonna say we have like a big like indie scene in Australia, in Sydney,
Yes.
Melbourne, and Brisbane. And I was gonna
Yeah.
give a shout out to some of the big games that come out of here. So you've probably heard of like Half Brick, like Fruit Ninja. That
Uh-huh.
franchise is made in Brisbane. They originally
Yeah.
made console games and then they switched over to mobile. And then we've also got Crossy Road as one of the big hits of last year.
Huge hit. Yeah.
Yeah, they went crazy. Like I was reading somewhere, I think they were like 50 million downloads, or it might even be more than that. Maybe like I can't even comprehend the scale of it. Like it was just
Yeah,
huge.
it's insane. That's Hipster Whale.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
I don't know if you had watched it, but the Apple keynote that they just had, did
yeah.
you watch that live?
Oh, I've seen bits of it. I haven't seen it live.
I was watching it live, and they brought those guys out, and I'm like, what? I could not believe that those guys were in the keynote. It was huge, man. That game is so big.
Yeah, I think they did like 10 million in revenue in the first 6 months. It was
That's so
nuts.
insane.
And
Yeah.
it's like a really simple game. It's like you're just crossing the road, and it's like this retro kind of style. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and the other one that's come out of here is Real Racing. So they acquired a studio here called Firemint, and I think it's now become Fire Monkeys. But Real Racing have various incarnations. So 2, 3, Real Racing HD on iPad as well. It was like I think Real Racing. I can't remember which version. It was like a $2 million budgeted game as well. Actually, it was really
Yeah.
high quality graphics
That's
as well.
incredible. Yeah, and another huge game to come out of Australia is Armello. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's huge. It's by a company called League of Geeks.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Just
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. We have like a really big IGDA community over here. Like I know on
Yeah.
Facebook, there's like several thousand members in each group, and I go to some of the local meetups. So it's really cool
Oh,
because
cool.
they have like demo nights. You go to like the local bar or pub, and the developers will have
Yeah.
their games on display, and you actually can talk to the developers that made the game as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great. Yeah, huge scene there.
and yeah, so you mentioned that your work is doing marketing for mobile games.
Hmm.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. And you said that one of the big problems is trying to get discovered on the app store. So tell us like why that's a problem.
Yeah, so that's probably I think that that's the biggest problem that game developers deal with on a day-to-day basis. Um, it's a problem because there's about 750 games released every single day
Hmm.
between Android and iOS. And essentially, when a developer is releasing, they're basically dropping their game in this rush, this flood of games, and what happens is they get buried. So visibility is a huge problem, and it trickles. It's you can see the evidence of visibility being a problem in kind of two different levels. Like at the top level, there's the user acquisition cost that has skyrocketed,
Hmm.
and that's basically the cost per user if you use mobile advertising.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at Fixu lately, but it's high. It's a few dollars. And then on the low end, you're seeing a problem visibility in movements like Indie Apocalypse, where you have a bunch of indie game developers that are just basically kind of super upset that it's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard to find success, and they're very frustrated.
yeah, and like the cost is high. I think the last report I might have actually got it from you. It was around like CPI. I think it was something like almost like $2.50 to $3.
Yeah, it's
for an
pretty high.
install. And on Facebook, I know it's something like around like $4 per install.
Right, yeah.
I
So
actually,
basically
yeah.
what happens is that that price transcends the lifetime value of their players, and then before you know it, they're closing their doors because they just can't keep up with the ad spend.
Yeah, like I actually, I've been saying there's like kind of like three certainties in life. So we know there's death and taxes, and the cost of Facebook ads. It just keeps going up every year. It's a
Yeah, it's
certainty.
true, it does.
I think because and you hit on an important point. Like you can pay like relatively a lot for it, but the thing is, if you're not making up on the back end in terms of the revenue, then it's not really worth it, right?
Right, it's not worth it at all. And it's very complicated. Once you enter the space of mobile ads and you really start playing that game, no pun intended, there's a ton that you have to do to keep up with that. There's a ton of practices you have to put into place. You have to be constantly measuring your retention. You have to constantly be babying the system. And then inevitably what happens is when you feel like you're losing, you you kind of only have two options. You either have to start messing with your gameplay experience in order to kind of bait users into buying your IEPs and doing all sorts of crazy things on that end, or you just dump more money into ads and then pray that it works.
Yeah,
So
it's like an
it's really intense.
addiction, like using those ads. And I know that two of the previous companies that we interviewed, they said that Facebook marketing was a very integral part. And I feel like it's probably seen as like the fastest way to reach a consumer,
Yeah,
particularly someone in the demographic that you're targeting because of its targeting capabilities.